again. So this is how Detroit got its start. Think about this while you read. How did Cadillac affect history in Michigan? Today, Detroit is the largest city. About 800,000 people live there. It has highways going north, south, east, and west. Each day, these highways are full of cars. Detroit has businesses of all kinds, but is the center for making cars and trucks. Long ago, it was only a place by a wide river. It was a place where Native Americans camped. Let us learn about the great city, how the great city got its start. Detroit began in the mind of a Frenchman. He began to think about it more than 300 years ago. In a way, it was born in a faraway France. It may have happened this way. Imagine you are there. Meet a boy who is a servant in a big house. The man he works for has an important job in the French government. Greetings. It is 1699, and I welcome you to France. My name is Andre. I am a servant boy in a big house. My master lives here, near Paris. He is an important man in the government who helps plan things for the king. My master mostly works for the French colonies. His name is Pontchartrain. Tonight he is having a special guest for dinner. It is my job to bring wood for the fireplace. The house is made of stone and can be cool much of the year. I keep the fire going and the room cozy. I just sit on the floor by the fireplace, unless I must go for more wood. No one pays attention to me, so I can listen to the men. The guest is coming in now. His name is Antony Cadillac, and he is from New France. You know, that's the French colony in North America. Yes. This man Cadillac looks like someone of action. I'll bet he is good with a sword. I heard some of the other servants talk about Cadillac. They say sometimes he gets into trouble. He can make enemies of important people, but Pontchartrain likes him. After dinner, the men are talking of some great plans. Cadillac has a large map spread on the table. He points and says, "This is the place. Here the lake narrow into a river." He tells Pontchartrain a fort here will control all the rest of the Great Lakes. We can stop our British enemies before they can move into the area. They will not be able to expand the fur trade. Cadillac says he can bring settlers and women. It will work. If he can bring settlers and women, it can work. The tribes will come and trade with us, not the English. He wants many Indians to come to the fort. It will be at the narrow place of the river. The French call it the narrow place between two lakes. Detroit. Pontchartrain says, this will probably upset the men now trading furs. They will need to move to a new fort. Cadillac told him not to worry. He will take care of this. Pontchartrain reminded him about the priests. They might not want to be moved to this new fort. Also, they may not like the tribes trading with you. If you trade brandy to the tribes for furs, they will be very upset. Both men said this new fort was an important project. It would be the key to controlling the fur trade around the Great Lakes. Pontchartrain said he would convince the king. We must do this. He said, "Oops, I spent too much time talking. I must get more wood for the fireplace. I hope to see you again. Maybe I can go to New France someday." Cadillac heads across the ocean. Cadillac had already been to Michigan. He was once in charge of the fort of St. Ignace. While there, he traded furs. He shipped those furs back to his wife in Canada. Marie Therese Cadillac was her name. She ran the business and sold the furs. liked the extra money from trading furs. However, there was a problem. Fur traders from British started to visit Michigan. The British had many settlements along the east coast of America. Now they sent traders west towards Michigan. He wanted to stop British. He felt this would be good for France. It would be good for him. Cadillac's plan had some new ideas. He wanted many Indians to move to Detroit. He also wanted French families to come. He wanted them to start farms. Few French families lived in Michigan, and there were hardly any farms. Detroit is born. On June 4th, 1701, Cadillac left Montreal with 25 canoes. His second in command was Alfonso de Tonty. By July 23rd, the group reached the Detroit River. The trip took 49 days and they traveled about 600 miles. On the way, they had to cross 30 portages. It was not an easy way to travel. The next day, they started building. The French were the first Europeans at Detroit. Now, Detroit meant more than just French words for a narrow place between two lakes. Later, the French found out that the British were almost ready to start a fort at Detroit. The British had made a treaty with the Iroquois. This would let the British travel to Detroit using Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. The first French women here. Until now, no French women had come to Michigan. It was a rough land. It was a land of fur traders and explorers. Women were not thrilled about coming here. The wives of Cadillac and de Tonty decided to move here. Marie Cadillac and Anne de Tonty would come with their children. This excited the tribes. They felt it meant the French were here to stay. The French would be able to protect them when needed. The ladies traveled in canoes. They brought some of their children. Indians and soldiers did paddling. Imagine what a trip must have been like. When the women arrived, the men were really excited. They shouted and shot their guns in the air. This was October 1701. Success, but problems too. Indians did move to Detroit. The first winter there was 6,000 Cadillacs started businesses that made the important things the town needed. They had blacksmith and a tool maker. The Cadillac family built 3 houses. They also built 2 barns, a windmill, and a bakery oven. Soon there was a church called St. Anne's. What did the tribes think about the new town? It was not like their villages. Did they ever think trading fur would cause the Europeans to build towns? How is life changing for the tribes? Cadillac did upset other fur traders. Too many furs were going to Detroit. This was ruining their business. By 1711, those traders wanted Cadillac to leave. They knew how to do it. They got the king to give him a new job. Cadillac was made the governor of Louisiana. Our 2 states have a Cadillac connection. This is where the city of New Orleans is today. Even though Cadillac left, Detroit kept going. Other French people came. Some of the early families still have relatives there today. Some streets still have French names. The streets are along the land of the old French farms. The farms were long and narrow. They started from the river. Do you know anyone with the last name? Maybe their family, any of these last names, maybe their family lived in Detroit long ago. So this is Joseph Campu, Cheney Street, Dubois Street, Aubin Street, Orleans Street, Rivard Street. Let's review. Animals with furs were a great natural resources. Furs were scarce in France. This pulled the French to Michigan. The rivers and lakes were their highways. The French started Detroit because of its location. They wanted to use it to guard the Great Lakes. The French had been in Michigan for over 100 years. Still, not many French people had moved to Michigan. There were towns here. Here's our timeline. All right, this is it for now. The next chapter is trouble between the British and the French, so I will read that tomorrow. Bye-bye.